Welcome to Firearms of America. Today, as you guys can see, I have another pair of Reebok boots for a review, and these are the tactical boots from Reebok called Sublite Cushion Tactical. And let me give you a brief overview. Overall, I do like this boot. They are lightweight, they are fairly comfortable with a few exceptions, few modifications that you can do. They do run a little bit on the smaller side, so I highly recommend getting a half a size bigger than your typical boot size, not the shoe size, but the boot size that you get. And overall, the comfort level is pretty good. I am very impressed with the inner sole. Currently $95 on Amazon. I think pretty good option for your tactical boot needs. Okay, so if you do have time to watch the whole review, let's get into it. As some of you already know, this review is specifically for my ultimate survival boots section. Basically, if this was your very last boot that you put on or you have been wearing and something bad happened and you needed to survive, fight, run, climb, do whatever that is necessary, would this be a good boot? So let's get into it. How do we make the judgment? We make the judgment based on 8 different criteria. Of course, criterion number 1 is the very important comfort level. So, like I said in the beginning of the video, overall pretty good comfort. How do I test the comfort level of each boot on this channel? So I do a 3-mile run, 5-mile walk without stopping, total wear time about 7 to 8 hours. A few factors that contribute to the comfort level of this boot. Let's get this one out of the way. Obviously the weight, and like I said, these boots are very lightweight. 11.5 ounce. This is, by the way, size 10. Let me tell you guys, 11.5 is very impressive for a tactical boot. Now, I always say on this channel, whenever I review all the boots here, I always say that if you want a boot that you can wear for extended periods of time, that you can run in without getting too fatigued, without, losing the proper form as you run, putting extra stress on your ankles, on your knees, stuff like that. You want something under 20 ounce per boot. And as you can see, this is 11.5, way, almost half under 20 ounce. I think it's a very fantastic. A few other factors that contribute to the comfort level. Of course, we have our inner sole, and as you can see, this one is actually kind of interesting in a way. It has this sort of a massaging surface, very jelly. Definitely does pretty good job on taking that impact, especially when you're running, especially when you get tired and it's kind of hard to run properly. Definitely takes that impact. Pretty good overall. Now, if you take out the inner sole, there is really nothing else. So the outsole, even though it is fairly hard, it is still flexible, as you guys can see. So that's another factor that definitely contributes to the comfort level. I think pretty good. Now, of course, you do have your cushioning, the tongue, in the shaft. Not much of the shaft here, but still get some of it. And of course, because the material here is pretty soft, is pretty good. One thing that I wanted to point out whenever it comes to the comfort level, however, with this boot, sort of a negative factor. Personally, I'm not a big fan of a toe box that is center shaped like this one, first of all. Second of all, it is a little bit too roomy for my preference. So whenever you're running especially, or whenever you're going down the hill in this boot, you can feel your toe kind of smashing into the front of this, and it kind of feels hard. I wish Reebok implemented a little bit more cushioning on the inside of the toe box. I think that would have been great, would have helped a lot, and shaped a little bit differently. Anyway, if you are planning to buy these boots, I definitely recommend wearing them with some thicker socks to kind of add that cushioning. I think that will solve the problem with this one. And of course, if you prefer, wider, more spacious toe boxes, this might be a pretty good option. Just get them in the right size. Okay, so done with the comfort level. Let's move on to the criteria number 2, which is proofing and protection. All right, so whenever it comes to the proofing, Not much here. These are not waterproof boots, even though the tongue is sort of kind of gusseted in a way. Not really though, but with the fabric that they use here in this boot, wouldn't really be waterproof anyway, and wouldn't be able to make it as light as they are. One thing I wanted to mention, however, of course, you know, with waterproofing usually comes some extra weight. So if you're looking for something very, very lightweight, usually they're not going to be waterproof. And another thing is that whenever you have boots as lightweight as these are, as breathable as these are, they typically dry much faster. So again, it's like you can get wet and not worry about it too much because your feet will dry pretty quickly because they're so airy. Now, whenever it comes to the protection, of course, there isn't really much of protection that these boots offer. As you can see, the toe box, it's just soft, very soft, so if you drop anything, definitely gonna feel the impact. There isn't really much protection in the shaft. I kind of wish that there was a little bit more to give you some protection to ankles. Not here. The heel is reinforced like it is in most boots, so at least something from the heel. Of course, you do have harder rubber on the outside, on the outsole, so more or less protected from the bottom. And of course, you probably already noticed the oil resistance and slip resistance, which we will talk about later in the outsole section. So done with that, let's move on to the criteria number 3, which is the quality and the design features. Now, these boots overall do have a pretty good reputation on Amazon. The link is in the description below if you want to check it out for yourself. 4 stars currently with over 260 reviews on Amazon, which is a pretty good rating. People do like them. A lot of comments from law enforcement, security officers, and people in service. So the reviewers that you can trust, right? Whenever it comes to quality, obviously Reebok. This is not my first Reebok boots review so far. Overall, they were pretty good. Although I have to say that I was more impressed with hiking Reebok boots compared to these tactical. I think they could have done a little bit of a better job overall. Now, whenever it comes to the design features, usually I talk here about the lacing system. There is really not much to talk about here. Very, very basic. Just, your regular holes through the fabric. Surprisingly, the strings do slide fairly easy to tighten and put these boots on, even though there isn't really any. I kind of wish that Reebok implemented some plastic, either hooks on the top, open hooks here, and then closed rings, 4 pairs over here, just to make it easier to put these boots on. But overall, not that bad. So done with the criteria number 3, let's move on to the number 4, which is the outsole traction and stability. So as I have said already, as you can see, the outsole, it has the oil resistance, the slip resistance, which does work very well on flat surfaces. However, whenever it comes to surfaces that are more slippery in a little bit of a different way, like for example snow, ice, or even wet grass, this is where this surface is not very good. It's not going to perform as well. So it might sound like slip resistance, but it's more for flat surfaces. As you can see, there's more grip for flat surfaces here, as you can see on the front and on the heel. So not very good for surfaces like wet grass, pretty decent on sandy surfaces, but overall this is more of a kind of a narrow specialty boot, more of like a tile and marble type of surfaces if you're planning to get this boot. Okay, so let's move on to the criteria number 5 very quickly, the temperature. Now, I test all my boots here in Southwest Florida, hot, almost 100 degrees weather. They are very breathable, so this is a great option for warm weather. However, I would definitely not recommend this boot for winter. First of all, they're not waterproof. Second of all, they're not insulated. Third, of course, outsole is not going to handle anything that winter has to offer. Snow, ice, not really. So keep that in mind. So let's move on to the criteria number 6 very quickly. Again, like I said, sizing. Whenever it comes to sizing, they do run a little bit on the smaller side. Keep that in mind. I always get my boots in half a size bigger than my normal shoe size. My normal shoe size is 9.5, and then I get all my boots in size 10, so that I have a little bit of that extra space in the toe box, which was a good recommendation from one of my experienced hiker friends. But even in size 10, they do run a little bit small, so I would recommend you getting the whole size bigger, maybe even size and a half. Keep that in mind. They do really run a little bit on the smaller. Again, it depends on the shape of the foot. For some people, some things might work a little better, but keep that in mind. Okay, let's move on to the criteria number 7, which is the balance of application. So basically, if this boot was really your last whatever ultimate survival boot, you know, you put on, something bad happened, and now you're in a situation where you have to run, walk for extended periods of time, fight, climb, I don't know, do whatever is necessary to survive. Would this be a good boot? Okay, so I think if you are a type of person that prefers lightness and not really any kind of restriction of mobility, right? Prefer to be able to run faster, longer, without any kind of restriction, without any kind of weight on your feet slowing you down. I think you're gonna like this boot, especially if you get them in the right size and they do fit you well. Not really like myself, it's not really the type of boot that I would prefer. The shape of the toe box, I think might be a pretty good option. But of course, if you do prefer features like waterproofing, if you do want some more protection in the toe box, in the shaft, taller shaft, obviously you are sacrificing a little bit of, you know, lightness. Now you're getting some weight. With all of the protection comes some extra weight. So this is obviously not really the option for you. Okay, and the very last criterion number 8, the price. Like I said in the beginning, currently these boots are $94.49 on Amazon. Like I said, the link is in the description below if you want to check it out, because prices, they most of the times change, and of course depending on the sizes, prices can be different. But I think for $95 it is a pretty good option, although I do have to say that there are some comparable boots. There's a lot of competition in tactical boots in that price range. Specifically, I'm talking about some Under Armour Stellar Tack, Under Armour Valsats, for example, or Daner Tachyon. You know, those are in the same price range, and they are very lightweight. They do offer a lot for that money. So if you are really looking for some good tactical boots, check out those reviews as well that I've done on this channel. Maybe you will find something a little bit better for yourself. But overall, I think a pretty good option if you get it in the right size and if they really do fit you right. So let me know in the comments below, guys, what you think about this boot. If you do have any requests for reviews, let me know in the comments below. I always look out for those. I put them on a special to-do list. If I come across the boots that you guys request, I do them as the priority. Thank you very much, guys, for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.